Welcome to Ulti World live press conference coming from the fields here in San Diego at the 2019 USA Ultimate Club National Championships. And we have the Toronto 6ixers. We have Carlo DiFilippo and Jordan Marin from the 6ixers, who have just won their semifinal game and are headed to the final in the women's division. So how are we feeling going into the final? How does this match your expectations of what you thought you'd be experiencing today?
We always, it was always a thought in the back of our heads that we could do it. But, having the plan and having the positive thinking is not the same as actually performing and attaining that goal. So yesterday was very exciting. Today was also exciting. It almost feels surreal. It doesn't feel, I don't know how to describe it, but we're very excited.
I would say we're both shocked and playing as if we expected this the whole time. I was saying to Carla a second ago, before this tournament, I was psyched by the prospect of making it to semis, but I thought we'll have to play really well and we'll have to get a favorable matchup. Never in my wildest dreams was I expecting us to then win the semis. No knock to us. I think we're great players, but it was just a huge jump for us. But here we are doing it. And today in the semis, it felt like we were playing as if we totally belonged there and that nobody had any doubt that we would win that game. So love that from our players. That was awesome.
And it was a really confident, emphatic win that you had in the semifinals. And Jordan, earlier you had said to one of the reporters that you're not necessarily a morning team. Have gotten off some slow starts. How did you adjust and start off so strong today in the semifinal against Schwa?
Well, we had an extra hour. The extra hour was really helpful as opposed to starting at 9. But, it's kind of like mess up your first morning game, shame on the tournament director. Mess up your next morning game, shame on the team. If you mess it up again, then, you can't ever do it 3 times in a row. This would have been our third morning mess up, and we really wanted to avoid that. So we really made sure yesterday to do everything that we could in order to be ready when we woke up in the morning. We did a lot of stretching, we ate right, and we all went to bed very early so that when we did wake up, we would be prepared as possible and focused mentally as possible.
And we got to give a shout out to Mike Haddock. He's been great with nutrition on the sidelines and our cool downs and making sure we warm up thoroughly. And so I think the team was ready.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah.
You started the weekend out as the top seed in your pool, but weren't able to win the pool. So even though you were the favorite in some ways in that game, having beaten Brute Squad twice already this season, weren't able to take that one. But now as the favorite in this semifinal, able to control the game from start to finish, how do you feel like you prepared to handle being the favorite in this matchup better than you had earlier in the weekend?
Right, that has been a bit of a struggle for us. I think we've been the underdogs for so long, and the write-ups are always like we're this young team and we're new, and so there's not a ton of expectation on us. So mentally that's easy when you go into games when you're never really expected to do much, and then we do. I think going into Brute was like the first time we were playing a top 4 team with the expectation that we should win. And I think that was really hard mentally on us because we've never had that before. So there was a lot of learning in that game. I think it took that half to sort of make us realize who we are. I think we kind of just played tentatively. And then from that experience, we brought it to Schwa to know that this could be anyone's game. We can't start slow. So that game kind of taught us the importance of really believing in ourselves and starting the game strong.
Definitely.
How did the new players that you added this year affect the team? Players like Hannah Dawson, Alyssa Mason. Talk about their impact that they've had this season.
One awesome thing about Hannah, for example, is that you can slot her in anywhere. She played the first half of the tournament on our O-line and was great. And then we decided when we were playing Riot that the right thing would be to move her to the D-line, and she's been incredible on the D-line. She's so versatile, and she brings a level of both intensity but also lightheartedness to the team that's really helpful. And then you look at other players like Alyssa and Sarah Jacobson. They just get these massive blocks in the air that our team has really been lacking in past years, and it's totally revolutionized the way that we've been able to play defense. So
they're very athletic.
Yeah, very, very athletic. These young players, I don't know what they're eating and drinking, but they are so athletic, and it's been a great compliment to our team. Mm-hmm. Do you want to add to that?
No, you said it. It's great.
I don't know if you know, but now that you won the semifinal, you actually will play in the championship game tomorrow. How do you balance the nerves of being on the big stage with the excitement of having reached this point in your season?
I think obviously everyone's going to be nervous, but a lot of players on our team have been on national teams. So it's not the first time they've played in a final or like an elimination type game. So yes, it's the first time anyone has played in a USAU final, which is, for us, like, is the top level of our sport. Like, this is, we're so honored to be there. But it's not like people are experienced. Like, we do have a lot of young players, but those young players are experienced, and our vets are really experienced. So, the nerves are normal. We have to enjoy the moment, right? Because who knows if it'll ever happen again, right? You have to cherish it. But I do think our team is experienced in that, so hopefully it doesn't get to them.
I will say that I'm very excited to be returning to the underdog status, because whoever we play, I can guarantee the betting line is not favorable towards us. So we're excited to go in and just tackle either Brute Squad or Fury and throw everything we can at them and see what we can do.
The team is the first women's team since Capitals to reach the final, and you mentioned Team Canada. What does it mean for Canadian Ultimate for the 6ixers to have gone this far and to potentially win a title?
I think that everyone in Canada is pretty pumped. Like, we've got a lot of messages, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, things like that. We're a small community, and it's very supportive, and it's always, I don't know what it is about Canada, but it's always great to beat Americans. Because it doesn't happen very much. So when it does happen, we really, really bask in it.
Oh yeah.
And so I think everyone up there, everyone from Canada is really excited for us.
One thing I'll say is I feel like the Toronto Raptors right now, because we're upsetting these American teams, but also the entire country is somehow coming behind us. So whether you live in Vancouver and you support Traffic, or Montreal and you support Iris, or anywhere else in the country, like, it really feels like everyone is coming together. On Twitter, we get like 100 mentions every 10 minutes of people just being like, "We love you. You're making us so proud. Thanks so much." So it's really cool to be the Raptors right now.
Yeah. And both Len and I were on that Capitals team that were in the final. So maybe we could do better than then.
We don't have to talk about that part. On the other side, you've the number 1 overall seed, San Francisco Fury. They're taking on Brute Squad, a team you know very well, who, well, maybe you would be underdogs against. You're 2-1 against them this season, if I'm not mistaken.
If anyone asks, we're underdogs.
Is there a preference? Would you rather see Brute Squad, a team that you know really well and that you've been able to beat, or do you think you'd rather take your chances with Fury?
Should we answer that honestly?
I mean, Fury is really spirited. It's really fun to play against them.
Yeah.
But they play a totally different style that we're not familiar with. It just feels like there's more X factors. With Brute Squad, we know them so well.
It could go either way. So, like, I think we would feel more confident against Brute because we played them. If we play Fury, like, we could catch them sleeping because they beat us 15-4 at Pro Champs. So maybe we could, maybe they'll be complacent playing us, and we could come out on fire, and maybe we catch them off guard. So you never know what could happen, But we probably want to play Brute.
But that 15-4 game was not anyway indicative of what our team is capable of. So it would also be very fun to play Fury to see how we actually will stack up against them when we're confident. It will be at 10 a.m., so it's a morning game. But 10 a.m. seems to work for us.
The 3-year plan was you're year 2 in the finals. Are you ahead of schedule?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're right on schedule, I think. Maybe 1 year ahead.
I think, the schedule's moved up. We came 9th 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago, and then last year we came 6th, and now here we are. We're going to be 1 or 2. So the good news is that probably next year we're on pace to win no matter who we play, and we'll hope that tomorrow goes well as well.
As long as our vets stick around.
Yeah.
And we also should give a shout out too, to Caitlin Lovett Hoodie. She's the first main coach who really hopped on board with the 6ixers, and Evan Phillips, who coached the team the last 2 years, have really revolutionized our O. So, there's been a lot of people that have helped us along the way that aren't here, and so.
Yeah, just 3 other people to give shout outs to. We're missing 3 players, and I have to shout them out. Sarah Kidd, we love you and miss you. Just Chen, we love you and miss you. And Laura Kinoshita, we love you and miss you. And we're thinking of all 3 of you, and we can't wait to be back with you guys.
Carla DiFilippo and Jordan Mayer and Toronto 6ixers, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
That was fun. Thank you.
Am I good to go, or? We now welcome in Portland Schwa coach Bobby Goff, coming off of the semifinal loss to Toronto 6ixers. So, Bobby, how is the team reacting to this situation? You get so far in this tournament, further than anybody really had expected, but not the result you probably wanted today.
Not the result we wanted today. And outside of just winning and losing, the first half of that game is just not the kind of game anybody wants to play on any day. But I think the team is feeling great. Jenica Villamore gave a great halftime speech, kind of bringing everybody into the kind of moment that we were living just in this program's history, reaching semis for the first time in 20 years and just, like you said, having this unexpected success, and how we have had a lot of expectations in this tournament that we've surpassed several times over already, and that every point we played in that game got us closer to finishing as a top 4 team in the nation, which is amazing for us. And so we decided when the game was over, regardless of score, we get to rush the field and celebrate that fact. And now we get to hang out and celebrate it in it for a little bit more.
Falling behind early in the half, looking back, do you feel like the team was nervous? What happened that caused a slow start?
Yeah, we tried our best not to tell the team or acknowledge that maybe there was an elephant in the room playing in nationals semifinals. It does feel like that creeped in a little bit. It is easy for that to creep in a lot stronger when your first look misses by an inch, and then Toronto comes back and just hits you in the face right away, and then they do it again and again and again. It's a slippery slope that we definitely slid down a little bit. Took us a while to recover, but we recovered and showed a good version of our game eventually. We played a great team when maybe we weren't at our best selves to start, at least.
The team added a couple veterans who've been in these big situations before. Laura Bitterman, Jelly Boyden. They joined players like Julia Sherwood, who played in these types of semifinals, but so much of the team hadn't. What did those players bring to the team to help try and balance that out?
They kind of brought a lot of different things. Julia Sherwood, longtime player and has a ton of experience from this, is a captain, and she has been kind of the primary voice when we're in huddles and talking, and her message has been very subtle and very straightforward and very effective. She's been doing that all season. Laura Bitterman is a character. I'm sure everybody knows that by now. She just comes out of nowhere to bring levity to any situation, and then when she's on the field, she's just doing things that both make no sense and make a lot of sense, and it's very effective, and it's nice to just have that rock there. And then Angelica Boyden specifically was super important for us this weekend. After Thursday, we kind of abandoned our line calling plan. We had a couple groups smashed into just O&D, and that meant we needed to kind of consolidate the D-line voice into one person, and we gave that opportunity to Jelly, and she crushed it all weekend. She gave us person matchups almost every point. She played great. She had, unfortunately not on film, what was the highlight play of the day, laying out to intercept the first pass against Molly Brown in one of the most pivotal moments of our season. She's just been a rock. She's been stellar, and I think it allowed for our newer players to just come in and just run around and add energy. Just with that solid base beneath them, they could just add whatever we needed and whatever they had to give, and it was a great combination.
Looking back at the successes of the weekend, I want to go back to that matchup you mentioned against Molly Brown, one of the biggest upsets of the tournament in any division. What was it like? What was the feeling of seeing your team score that final goal and take down Molly Brown and advance to the semifinals?
It shattered a lot of ideas and expectations that I had personally, and I think that a lot of other people had. That game was almost identical, like to a T, with a semifinal we played with them in Colorado, I believe. Even like down to us leading to start, them storming back, playing on Universe, us receiving. It's the exact same. We had a turnover in that Colorado game, and they just punched it in right away. And we had a turnover in this quarters game, and we didn't let them punch it in. And we got one more chance, and we just needed that one more chance. And it was cool to see how something so small in a short amount of time could be the difference between what we thought we could be and what now we've seen that we are.
At this tournament, some of the stars of the team, Julia Sherwood, Mariel Hammond, Ava Pop, all played very well. But beyond those names that I think fans may be more familiar with, was there anybody else who really stepped up to help deliver this result for the team that you would want to highlight?
Yeah, for sure. It was that switch we made for line calling. It was important to know that while agreeing to sacrifice some playing time for potential better results, everybody played every point. Sometimes it wasn't a bunch, but you could feel everyone on the roster adding some small things that we needed. Let's see. There are a lot of moments I can remember. Lauren Trexillo just being the first one down on a pole and not giving up a quality break look throw and just putting people at stall 8 on throw 1. I'm sure no one is surprised to hear that Ella Hansen pulled it into the air for 10 seconds and then you had to try and catch a blade in the corner of your end zone or get pinned there. And that was massive for winning that Molly Brown game, especially when it got a little windy. Man, there's so many people to think about. Like rookies like Katie Bly is just coming in and just running hard and adding length to our D-line and just adding a little bit of pressure. Maybe she didn't have a bazillion stats, but it's the small things like that really made a difference. I'm sure I can come up with many more. Let me see if I can come up with just one more. You talked about Merle. She crushed it. She dominated that Molly Brown game. Kristen Rosenblum had a ton of our goals, and it's funny, that name is not known, and she's such a non-classic ultimate personality. She's a teacher. She's just this lovely human that's always smiling and talking about anything, and then she just goes out there and takes these long strides, and we just huck it to her regardless of anything, and she just catches it, and she's just there when you need her. And that kind of consistency throughout the entire O-line, but she's the best example of it. If you go watch our games, we just put her out there in space, and we trust her, and it just works, and we just want to put everyone out in space, and we trust them, and it worked.
This is the best finish we've seen in some time, somewhere around 20 years, right, for Schwa. How do you use this to propel the program into greater success and more sustained success?
Well, it's fun to think about, proving ourselves as, you put a fun number to it, a top 4 team in the country. That sounds attractive for people to, think about Portland as an option. Portland's a great city. It's already attractive in itself. But I think really it's pivotal. It will be pivotal in people's choices who are already on this team in the off season. Maybe they were thinking about. Maybe they're unsure if they're going to come back. Maybe they're unsure how much work they needed to put in to come back and maybe be better. And it's powerful to reach a new height that you have not reached before, and then also get an opportunity to take another step. We missed that step today, but we were, a few points away, a few minutes away from playing for the title. And anyone on this team can do some good small work this offseason, and maybe that puts us there. And I think that's like a hunger that everyone has found that is going to propel us to some bigger and better things.
Final question.
Yeah.
Boston Root Squad, San Francisco Fury, Toronto 6ixers.
Oh boy.
Who you got?
Well, as soon as the results came in yesterday, I knew there's no way I'm not taking Pool D all the way. Obviously, us and Sixers would be one of the teams, and I'll take Boston in the other semi. The Sixers today felt like a team that have had a plan and a vision in place since day one. Not only is their speed incredible, just end-to-end moving themselves and moving the ball, but their speed and their decision-making and their ability to transition from playing defense to defense is remarkable. And always bet on fresh blood, always bet on the underdog. I'll take the Sixers.
All right, Bobby Goff, coach of Portland Schwa, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate it. You're welcome. All right, Charlie, you want them to look at the camera?
All right.
Keith Rayner here with UltiWorld for a live press conference coming to you from San Diego at the 2019 USA Ultimate Club National Championships. We have the finalists in the mixed division, the first finalist from San Francisco Mischief. We have Coach Andrew Barry and one of the players, Gina Schumacher. So, you're going to the finals. How does the team feel?
The team is in a really special place. I think everything is kind of coming together both on and off the field for us. And one of our themes this weekend has been trust in each other and trust in ourselves, and joy. And I think that was on full display today. We had an amazing time, a great battle against Dragon, and it was a joy to be a part of it.
Looking at the semifinal that you played against Dragon Thrust, one of the most interesting stats that jumped out to us was the ability of the team to score after turning it over. You never turned it over again. After any turnover you got back from the Dragon Thrust defense, you scored every time. Was that something that there was intention behind, or did it just work out that way?
Go for it, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Frisbee the goal is to score, so we're always going to aim to score as soon as we get the disc back. We believe we can get it back, so we know we can score afterwards.
I love that you bring that up, actually, because one of our focuses this year has been being our best when we're not our best, and hat tip to Maddie Sang for that one. But it's been a big focus of ours, and so mistakes are going to happen in this game, and that's just part of it. Our focus is we react as best as we can as players on and off the field whenever that occurs.
One of the things I noticed throughout the course of the game is as the wind picked up over the course of the second half, it seemed like Mischief had a better plan for how to deal with that than Dragon Thrust did. Can you talk us through sort of your mindset as the conditions started to change a little bit?
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. No, I think our goal is just to always play good ultimate. And so no matter what the conditions are, they're the same for both teams. And we're just going to play our hardest and work with our legs.
I think it was interesting defensively, too. It seemed like you were forcing them to take a lot of... They had to work really hard to get it off the sideline. Was that sort of an intentional mindset going in, or did it just sort of work out with how the conditions played out?
I mean, I think, that there were a few things that we did to kind of challenge them a little bit. And yes, some of that worked out for us. I think having the low side always, affects flow. And I think there were a few things that we were able to do that we were able to take advantage of in that way. Yeah.
I mean, you look at the matchups that you were encountering on the Dragon Thrust side of things. You got Sarah Meckstroth and Brian Schoenrock, some amazing players out there. Did you have specific matchups in mind, or was it more of a team mindset to try and limit those players and take advantage of the mistakes afterwards?
I don't know. Did we have a plan? I don't usually focus on that. They're very good. They're very good.
They're an amazing team. They have some of the best players in the entire division. So, of course, like we talk about those players and we figure out game plans for them. I think at the end of the day, our approach was as a team approach. What were we going to do as a team to put ourselves in the best position to create pressure and execute on offense? And it was so much fun to be a part of it.
Speaking of offensive execution, I noticed you were fairly fluid switching between a vertical stack and a horizontal just to try and give the defenses a different look. Did you notice that one was working a little bit better than the other? Did you kind of ride sort of a hot stack at any point, or?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't really know. I think we're not really doing anything different. It feels like to me, we're playing good Frisbee and it feels really fun.
We're a really versatile team, and so we can come down on a number of different sets. And I think it's funny because it's like yeah, I guess we were, but to us, as Gina says, it's just how we play.
Who would you say were some of the players that really stepped up for you in that game?
It's too many to count.
Yeah, I think the sideline was really great. Like having that eighth person on the field, it's really fantastic, and we had a really great showing. So we really appreciate everybody who came out to support us.
Cool. Keith, got any?
So, Gina, you're out there on the field, and your team pretty much ran out the same O-line. A lot of space for you, Julia Bladen, Lexi Zalk, to go to work. Did you feel like that you had a matchup advantage against the women on the Dragon Thrust side?
Just quickly, it's Mia Bladen.
Mia Bladen, excuse me, not her sister Julia.
Yeah. No, I think our women are fantastic. We're a great mixed team. I think Dragon Thrust has amazing women as well, and I really appreciate them bringing it. And I think it was just really fun to play high-level mix with really high-level players all around. I think there were just great matchups. Everybody was pressuring everybody, and it felt really good.
Also had a great performance from Matthew Crawford. Had a number of great throws and really helped power the offense. How do you feel like he played? What does he bring to the team?
I know Crawford really well. I've coached him for a number of years, and I used to play with him. He's really developed into a fully rounded player, and the thing that steps out to me most is his mental game. And the mental space he was in today was really powerful, and it affected the entire team.
Yeah, he's a great teammate. I'll echo that. I think he really embodies a lot of the values that our team has. Like on the field playing, but then just like off the field, how we interact and how we make the sport better and more equitable. He's really fantastic.
Now you will face off with the winner of Fort Collins Shame and Philadelphia Amp. Is there a team there that you would prefer to see? Is there a team you think you have a better matchup against?
I mean, not really. They're both great teams, and we've seen them both this year. So we'll be really, really excited to play that final, regardless of opponent. We have a lot of friends on both teams, actually, so we'd be happy to see either.
Final question, Andrew. I noticed that there's something unusual in your pocket. What's going on down below the table? Is there a story here?
There is. I think what I can share is that This puppy to us just represents our ability to bring our best in the most opportune moments. And I love how our team responds in those moments and does what they need to get done.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Andrew Berry, Gina Schumacher from San Francisco Mischief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now here with representatives of Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. We have Austin Lean and Coach John Gross coming off of the semifinal loss against San Francisco Mischief. Looking back at the game, obviously a really tough opponent. What do you feel like you would do differently in retrospect?
Hopefully not turn it over. No, I mean, I think I have to give props to them. We made some adjustments at halftime and during various timeouts, and they just kept doing a good job of hitting the throws and making tough catches and making tough contested choices. The other thing that they did really, really well is they identified open people and just hit those hands. If I had to change anything, maybe we would try zone or some other poach looks or things like that, just when the wind picked up. But overall, we played kind of our style, and on this day, they got the better of it.
I think if memory serves, the D-line 1 for 10 with break opportunities. What was Mischief doing that made it so difficult to take those breaks off them even after you had possession?
You know, one thing I noticed was that they did a really good job of whenever we tried to switch position on the field, whether off of a swing, upline power position like that, they seemed to be all cued in as a defensive unit to go close the lanes until their mark was set and then go back to playing regular defense. It made it really difficult, I think, for our D-line offense to get into a flow and to abuse something like being able to work it all the way down the break side.
It seemed like in the second half also that your offense keyed in a little bit more on looking deep, perhaps. Was that a strategy that you thought might help you close the gap, or was it something that just developed organically on the field?
I would say that definitely developed organically. It may have even just been a product of frustration of having to work so hard against their good defense that when we saw those open windows, we were tempted to take them, and we were fortunate enough that a lot of them actually did work for us later in the game.
And I think it's also something that has been a strength of ours all season. And so, you know, in those moments, it's not, let's change everything. Let's go back to what we do well, and we've done a good job with that, of hitting those deeps and making it so some points, both for breaks and for holds, can be quick.
Looking back at your performance from yesterday, it seemed you had a very clinical performance against Seattle Mixtape. What do you think was the big change between yesterday and today?
Seattle Mixtape, I would say we know that matchup very well. By no means comfortable because they're a phenomenal team, but they're a very familiar matchup for us. And I think that may have kind of eased nerves a little bit and brought us back to business as usual. While we have played Mischief, we don't have the same storied history that we do against Mixtape, so I think that may have brought tensions back up.
Okay. One other question I would have around that, like, do you feel like because you've been on film so much over the last couple of years that teams are much more prepared for you than they would be otherwise?
I think yes, and I think if it hadn't have been maybe for this successful season we've had, some of our younger players and our sets would have been kind of more surprising to teams. You know, with our handling core being Tavis Leighton and Leo Sofo Fernandez, who are both a first and a second year player, having 6 or 7 games available for people to look at was a really big factor. Tavis Leighton was actually out today, because of a kind of stomach bug or a sickness that he had. So we brought him to the hospital last night, and he wasn't cleared to play. And so that was, I think, also another big factor. He made some great plays in that quarterfinal game of just being available and throwing things that he can do as a lefty and a talented thrower.
You mentioned also Leo Sobel Fernandez. He's been someone we've talked about all year. So impressive in his play. Did you know when he first came out to tryouts, when he first started playing with the team, did you know that he could be this good?
We knew he could be this good when he was 14 on the mixed YCC team out of Minnesota. No, I think the thing that was so impressive with him was he's a special person and a player with the joy he brings and the drive that he brings. And we wanted to find a way for him to be successful. And seeing him answer in those situations was really amazing. One of the things that was great was having him in mix with some of our players who have been on the team, like Austin, for a long time, and kind of refreshing that joy of just like a 19-year-old who has never been to club nationals, who, I rode from the airport with him, and just him thinking about all of that and talking was really amazing, in addition to his play.
Another young player that really stood out to me was the play of Claire Thallon. She really stepped up over the course of the season. What did you see, and what excited you the most when she first showed up to tryouts?
As someone that was probably less familiar with her, watching her at tryouts earlier this year, and then obviously seeing the role she grew into later on in the season, where we literally asked her to do everything, and as such a young player, playing back-to-back points, different challenges, offense, defense, all that. She's just very adaptable. She knows the game really well for someone her age. She doesn't seem to be rattled by very much, and her poise is really impressive when she gets in those big moments.
Is the poise something you look for in new players coming into the system?
I think it comes from looking for players that have the right experience, but then also the right personalities to get with our team. Conveniently, as a program, we're very blessed to have some people who have been on the team for a long time, and so you can learn from that, and you can kind of help guide those younger players in how it's just any other game.
I want to revisit Leo Sobel Fernandez, who we talked briefly about earlier. You mentioned the joy he brings to the game. Obviously, he was pretty distraught after the result. He has 2 turnovers on the final point. Do you feel like he was pressing? Did he seem nervous? How did he seem coming off the field after that, after the loss?
I can tell you that the decision that he made to huck it on the last point, that spoke to me how confident and how well he was feeling himself up until that. I didn't see any signs of nerves playing the offensive line with him most of the game. He seemed to be clicking and pretty much ready to bring us right to the end of that game. It was unfortunate that the way it came off and the wind tailed it out of bounds. That kind of thing happens. But the fact that he was still willing to take that shot when the game was on the line, that really speaks to, the ice water in his veins.
Final question. Amp and Shame on the other side, Mischief on this side. Who do you think is the favorite to win a title at this point?
I think that's for all of y'all to commentate about. I think all 3 of those teams are very well deserving. Somebody wearing red, I think, is going to have the advantage since that's all of their darks. That's my hot take pick.
There you
the
go.
team in red.
All right, Austin, Lean, and John Gross, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.